The sun sank low behind the hills, tinting the sky in shades of gold and rose. Its light poured through the kitchen window of Diep's new countryside home, turning the air warm and tender. The faint aroma of lemongrass and ginger mingled with laughter drifting from the living room, laughter that hadn't been heard in months. This evening was more than a meal. It was a celebration of survival, a quiet declaration that life, despite its storms, could still bloom again. Diep moved gracefully between the stove and counter, her sleeves rolled up, her hair tied back. The dishes were simple: steamed chicken with lime leaves, sweet and sour soup, stir-fried vegetables, and fresh spring rolls. Yet every dish seemed to hold fragments of her journey, nights of exhaustion, mornings of hope, and gratitude that refused to fade. From the doorway, James watched silently, leaning against the frame. His face, often stern from long days of work, now softened with warmth. "Need a hand?" he asked. Diep shot him a playful glance. "You'll just end up tasting everything before dinner." He laughed, stepping closer. "I'm just making sure it's safe for everyone." Their laughter filled the air, light, healing, alive. From the living room came the chirpy voice of little Nhi. "Mommy, Grandma says the rice is ready. Can we eat now?" Diep smiled, her heart melting. "Just a few more minutes, sweetheart. Tell Grandma to set the bowls." Mother Lan, James's mother, smiled softly as she laid out the chopsticks and bowls. Her hands trembled slightly with age, but her spirit felt young again. She had watched Diep endure storms most wouldn't survive. Tonight, surrounded by the scent of home-cooked food and love, she felt peace returning to her heart. When the table was finally set, James lifted Nhi into her chair. "The first official dinner in our new house," he said, looking around. A home built not from bricks, but from love. They joined hands for a moment of silent thanks. The meal began. Laughter and gentle chatter filled the air. Nhi tried to feed her grandmother, who laughed until tears glistened in her eyes. James occasionally stole glances at Diep, her smile, her calmness, the way light seemed to return to her after so long. For the first time in months, she felt at peace. Outside, the world was still unpredictable. But inside, happiness whispered, not in grand gestures, but in the sound of chopsticks, in the warmth of steamed rice and love shared between hearts that had suffered and healed. As the moon rose high, silver light brushed the rooftop, a witness to fragile, newfound happiness. "Mom, try this," Diep said softly, placing a piece of chicken in Mother Lan's bowl. "It's your recipe. I followed it exactly." Motherland's eyes misted with affection. It tastes even better when you make it. Maybe because you're cooking with love now. Her words hung in the air like a blessing. James felt his chest tighten. For years, his mother had lived in quiet solitude after his father's passing. Seeing her laugh again, seeing warmth in her eyes, it was a sight he'd almost forgotten how to hope for. Beside them, NHI was wrestling with her chopsticks. "Daddy, it's too slippery," she pouted. "Here," James said gently, guiding her small hands. "Like this. See?" Diep paused to watch them, father and daughter, the picture of patience and tenderness. For the first time, she saw how naturally James had become both protector and parent. Outside, crickets began their evening song. A cool breeze slipped through the curtains, carrying the scent of night flowers. Everything felt peaceful, as though the world itself had exhaled. "You know," Motherland said suddenly, "when your father and I moved into our first house, we didn't even have a real table. Just a stack of boxes. But those meals were the fullest ones of my life, not because of what we ate, but because of who we ate with." Diep's eyes shimmered. "Maybe that's what love really is," she whispered. "Not about how big the house is, or how much food we have, but sitting together and knowing we belong." James reached across the table and took her hand. "Exactly. We've been through storms. But this," he looked around the table, "this is what I fought for." "Daddy, are you crying?" NHI asked, spotting the tears in his eyes. James laughed softly. "Maybe just a little. Because Daddy's happy." Diep leaned over, brushing away a tear. "Then let's make sure these are the last sad tears." Laughter filled the room again, pure and effortless, like sunlight breaking through clouds. After dinner, with plates nearly empty and hearts completely full, James stood and pulled a folded paper from his pocket. "There's something I want to show you," he said. Diep tilted her head. "What is it?" "It's the final approval, the company registration for DJ Agriculture. It's official." Her breath caught. "Already? I thought it would take days." James smiled. "I made a few calls." "You've waited long enough, Diep. You deserve a head start." For a moment, she couldn't speak. The paper trembled in her hands, a symbol of dreams once too far to touch. "James," she whispered, "I don't even know what to say." "Say you'll keep fighting," he replied. "Because this is just the beginning." Mother Lan smiled proudly. "He's right. This home, this company, they're proof that love can grow roots." Mommy's a boss now. Nhi squealed, clapping her hands. Diep laughed. Maybe a small boss. But I'll work hard so you can be proud. James lifted his cup of tea. To the new company, he said warmly. And to the family who made it possible. To the new beginning, Diep and Mother Lan echoed. Their cups clinked softly, a sound as gentle as music, as bright as hope. Outside, the night wind rustled through the trees, carrying the smell of fresh soil. It felt as if the earth itself was blessing their new chapter. Later, when the dishes were washed and Nhi had fallen asleep in her grandmother's arms, the house fell quiet. The laughter lingered like a faint melody. James stepped outside, breathing in the cool air under a sky full of stars. Diep followed, her shawl wrapped loosely around her shoulders. The yellow light from the window painted her face in a warm glow. They stood in silence, listening to the hum of crickets and the distant murmur of a motorbike passing along the village road. It's hard to believe, James said softly. Just a year ago, everything felt like it was falling apart. And now, Diep finished, smiling faintly, we have a home, a dream, and a family. But sometimes, it still doesn't feel real, James laughed gently. Reality doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it's just this, quiet peace. She looked at him, eyes soft. You've given me more than peace, James. You've given me courage, the courage to begin again. He took her hand. And you've taught me what it means to stay. Real strength isn't about winning. It's about holding on when it would be easier to walk away. They stood close, their silence rich with everything unspoken. The faint scent of jasmine drifted from the garden. Do you think it'll always be this peaceful? Diep murmured. No, he admitted. There will be storms again. There always are. But this time, we won't face them alone. She smiled, eyes glistening. Then let's promise, no matter what happens, we'll hold on. Always, he whispered. Inside, Nhi stirred in her sleep, murmuring softly, Mom. Dad. Diep's eyes filled with quiet tears. She's dreaming happy dreams, she said. James held her closer. That's all I've ever wanted. For her. For us. The wind carried away the last echoes of the day. Under the starlit sky, their story, once scarred by loss, continued, stronger than ever. When dawn finally arrived, golden light spilled through the curtains. The family gathered for breakfast, their first morning in the new home. The scent of warm bread and blooming flowers filled the air. Mother Lan hummed a soft tune in the kitchen while laughter bubbled from the dining table. James looked at them, Deep's gentle smile, Ni's tiny hands reaching for fruit, the morning sun painting everything in gold, and finally understood. Happiness was not a destination. It was this, the quiet rhythm of ordinary mornings built on patience, forgiveness, and a love that endured. Deep caught his gaze, smiling knowingly. They didn't need words. Their hearts had already spoken. Love had won, not with miracles, but through persistence, kindness, and faith that never wavered. Outside, the breeze carried the scent of new beginnings, whispering softly through the trees. Every ending can be a beginning, if love remains true.